This is the most mysterious place in China, where China's highest-ranking officials work and live. It is a large courtyard enclosed by tall red walls. This is Zhongnanhai. In this video, let's explore the secrets of Zhongnanhai and the stories that happen here. What ordinary people can see are the red walls, the gates, and the soldiers with live ammunition guarding Zhongnanhai. Of course, you can view satellite images of Zhongnanhai through Google Maps, but behind those high red walls are hidden wonders. Zhongnanhai is located on West Chang'an Avenue in Beijing, to the west of Tiananmen and the Forbidden City. A few hundred meters southeast of this large courtyard are the Great Hall of the People and Tiananmen Square. Zhongnanhai is roughly trapezoidal in shape, about 1.7 kilometers long from north to south, about 600 meters wide along West Chang'an Avenue in the south, and 700 meters wide along Weijin Street in the north. The courtyard covers a total area of about 247 acres. There are two lakes in it, namely Zhonghai and Nanhai, with a total area of about 114 acres. Xinhua Gate is the main entrance of Zhongnanhai, located on West Chang'an Street. On the wall inside the big red doors are the large golden characters, "Serve the People," which is the most used political slogan of the Communist Party. Together with Xinhua Gate, these large characters witnessed the unprecedented celebration of 70,000 people in Tiananmen Square on July 1st of this year, and the massacre of students and citizens by the People's Liberation Army 32 years ago. Zhongnanhai is one of the more complete surviving royal palaces in China, with both solemn palace-style buildings and flexible garden-style buildings. After the CCP entered Beijing in 1949, it became the Central Secretariat of the CCP, the General Office of the Central Party Committee, and the State Council of China. Zhongnanhai is the most centralized place of power in China. Almost all members of the Politburo, all officials above the vice premier level work in there, and some of them live there. The residents of Zhongnanhai, of course, include the spouses and children of some retired or deceased senior officials. Others are service personnel and soldiers of the garrison. Chen Xiaonong, son of Chen Boda, former member of the Politburo Standing Committee, published an article entitled "Daily Life in Zhongnanhai." It described that the leaders of the CCP all work in their homes, and their homes are also their offices. There are many guard posts in the courtyard. In addition to the ones at the junction of the A, B, and C areas, there are also guard posts in front of the homes of important officials. Those senior officials in Zhongnanhai who fought each other to the death in the political struggle are actually neighbors who live very close to each other. But they only get together for meetings and hardly ever meet in private. Even the children living in Zhongnanhai are often warned by their parents, "Don't visit anyone." It is really hard to imagine that, in such an atmosphere, whether people would even greet each other if they bumped into one another. There's a small island in the middle of the Nanhai Lake called Yingtai, which is where the top leader of the CCP work, live, and hold banquets and hospitality events. Former CCP leader Mao Zedong, Deng Xiaoping, and Jiang Zemin all lived here before. As for whether or not Xi Jinping lives here, no information can be found, but it is presumed so. The main hall of Yingtai is the Hanyuan Hall, which is one of the main places where the top leader of the CCP meet with leaders from foreign nations. Former US President Clinton, Bush, Obama, as well as former Russian President Boris Yeltsin, President Putin, etc., have all been guests here. On November 11, 2014, Xi Jinping and then US President Barack Obama held a Yingtai night talk here. In addition, the Hanyuan Hall is also the place where the chief executives of Hong Kong and Macau go to Beijing to report to the CCP leader. The State Council office is in the northwest corner of the Zhongnanhai courtyard, and the Ziguang Pavilion to the east side is where the State Council leaders meet with foreign guests, and the open space in front of the pavilion is where the honor guard is received. Shui Qingyuan is located in the northeast corner of the Nanhai Lake, acting as the barracks of the garrison. Zhongnanhai is guarded by the Central Security Bureau, which has a force of about 1,000 soldiers, commonly referred to as the Zhongnanhai bodyguards. The regular task is to take care of the personal security and safety of senior officials. This army often has a key role in high-level political struggles in the CCP. Do you know where the power of the CCP leader comes from? People don't obey them simply because the Central Committee gave them their titles. If the top leader of the CCP wants others to obey, it is very important for him to control the Central Security Bureau and those 1,000 people. The personal bodyguards of every senior official are always present in their daily activities. Soldiers from the Security Bureau stand outside of every CCP Standing Committee member's office. Usually, the soldiers are called bodyguards, but the difference between the bodyguards and normal guards lie within a phone call. As long as the person who holds this power makes a call, the bodyguard will immediately be able to arrest the official. Since Xi Jinping came into power, the head of the Central Security Bureau has been changed 3 times. This shows that Xi Jinping does not fully trust the Security Bureau. In many major historical events of the CCP, the Security Bureau has played a decisive role. In 1976, Wang Dongxing, who was in charge of the Central Security Bureau, sided with Hua Guofeng and Ye Jianying and initiated the Zhongnanhai Huairentang incident, which led to the arrest of the Gang of Four led by Jiang Qing and Wang Hongwen. This was an event that turned the course of CCP history. After the June 4th massacre in 1989, Zhao Ziyang, who sympathized with the students, was immediately restricted of his personal freedom. The executor was Yang Dezhong, the head of the Central Security Bureau, and Yang only took orders from Deng Xiaoping. After the June 4th incident, Jiang Zemin entered Zhongnanhai to pursue a leftist approach. Deng Xiaoping was very dissatisfied, because Deng believed that economic growth was the only way to dilute people's memories of the Tiananmen Square massacre. Therefore, Deng demanded that economic reform should be accelerated, and Jiang Zemin's policy was exactly the opposite. In 1992, Deng Xiaoping finally lost his patience with Jiang Zemin. During his southern tour, Deng delivered a speech and directly said that anyone who would not promote economic reform would step down from their position. Jiang Zemin then panicked. So how did Deng get Jiang to step down? Simple. Deng just made a phone call to Yang Dezhong, then head of the Central Security Bureau. Yang would bring a few soldiers into Jiang Zemin's office and force him to step down. Then Deng Xiaoping would convene a central plenary meeting to complete a procedure, and Jiang Zemin would no longer be the general secretary. It was that simple. Deng Xiaoping did not have any party positions at that time. He was nominally an ordinary party member, but as long as the person in charge of the Central Security Bureau obeyed his orders, he had control over the personal safety of all senior officials, and he was the biggest boss. The treacherous Jiang Zemin quickly organized people to study Deng Xiaoping's Southern Tour speech and promoted economic reforms. Even though Deng was not in Zhongnanhai, his knife was always on the backs of the senior officials there. Zhongnanhai has many secret passages leading to the outside for safety. The first secret passage leads directly to Yuquan Mountain and Xishan Air Force Base. The passage is more than 20 kilometers long, with brilliant lights inside. In the event of an accident, senior officials can escape through this secret passage. Yuquan Mountain is nominally a place where the officials go to recuperate, but it's actually a place where high-ranking officials gather before fleeing. The second passage runs from Zhongnanhai to the Great Hall of the People, and then to the Beijing International Airport. Li Yiping, a leader of the overseas Chinese pro-democracy movement, once revealed that these 2 secret passages were used during the June 4th massacre in 1989. At that time, Deng Xiaoping summoned troops from all over the country to Beijing to suppress the pro-democracy movement. Hundreds of thousands of troops came. Deng feared that if one troop decides to rebel, it would cause the whole situation to get out of control. Therefore, Deng prepared a number of civil aviation planes at the Beijing International Airport filled with gold, and was prepared to fly away if the situation ever gets out of control. Deng's escape plan directly gave birth to the $10 trillion Arc of Doom project for top CCP officials, which we explained in a video last year. Wang Dan, one of the leaders of the Tiananmen pro-democracy movement, recalled that there was a wide underground passage under the Great Hall of the People that led directly to the Xishan base, and that some of the martial law troops had entered the Great Hall of the People through this secret passage before June 3rd. In the video of the so-called pacification broadcast by the CCP afterwards, we can clearly see a large number of martial law soldiers rushing out from the Great Hall of the People. The third secret passage connects to the 301 hospital. In October 2020, a netizen broke the news that Beijing 301 hospital suddenly went under martial law on the evening of the 16th, and an important figure in Zhongnanhai went to the hospital through the underground passage for treatment. Netizens speculate that the person is at least at the Politburo level. The fourth secret passage is even more mysterious and is said to lead from Zhongnanhai to Beijing Daxing International Airport. It is said that this is the major project promoted by Xi Jinping and has its own secret purpose. Although at the main entrance of Zhongnanhai there is a big plaque which says "Serve the People," ordinary people have absolutely no access to it, although some people who have special relationships with top officials can still enter. For example, Liu Xiaoqing used to visit Deng Xiaoping's home in Zhongnanhai frequently. When Deng was in power, Liu was the most popular movie star in China. Song Zuying, a female singer with the rank of Major General, once had a pass to Zhongnanhai because she was Jiang Zemin's mistress. Li Ruiying, another mistress of Jiang, also had free access to Zhongnanhai. Li was the anchor of CCTV and was the person Jiang always brought with him on his visits. Once, before Jiang Zemin's visit to Southeast Asia, Song and Li had a traffic accident in Zhongnanhai, and Song forced Jiang to sever his relationship with Li due to jealousy. Since then, Li was never seen again with Jiang Zemin on his trips. Of course, there are still many secrets and stories behind those tall red walls of Zhongnanhai. Scenes of power struggles among the top CCP officials often play out at this very location.